I've recently been asked on what is the smartest and simplest way to save up a Fusion title or a Fusion composition inside of DaVinci Resolve. And the short and simple answer to that is using the macro tool inside of Fusion. And even though I've already made a video covering the macro tool, I missed out on a very important point in this video, and that is keeping your macro organized. Because let's say you have 10 nodes and you want to create a macro of those 10 nodes and you didn't assign custom drop-down menus using the label control feature, well, all the parameters that you selected from every node will just be on top of each other in the inspector, and you don't know what parameter is connected to which node. So today we're organizing our macro. But first, what actually is a macro? And the short answer to that is think about your whole Fusion node tree, whether it be 2 nodes to 500 nodes. Those nodes stored into one node that you can then use to reload that Fusion node tree whenever you want to use this animation or whatever you have built. But the question of this video is how to organize our macro so that when we use it in the edit page in the inspector, we then have a bunch of drop-down menus for each individual node and then unfold the parameters that we want to change on that specific node. This is the title that we want to create the macro for. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to assign different label controls for background 1, the main text, and the secondary text. And we do that by going to I usually do this on a merge node. So I'm going to right click on this merge one and go to edit controls, click on that. And then the first name I'm always gonna call controls. Then the type number is fine, page, user page is fine. Because if you watch on the merge one, you see the merge page, the channels and the settings, but you don't see a users page. And if you select the users page, DaVinci Resolve will create a new page called users for you in the merge one. By input control, we want to select the label control, and view control is fine. So first of all, we want to select show arrow, hide next, and then let's just type in 1, and this is fine. So if we click OK, then we see the users page and we see a big controls. Now we can create custom label controls for our background, main text, and secondary text, and we do this the exact same way. But we have to think ahead on how many of the parameters in the background node we want to change. So for me, it's just a color. In text 1, there are probably font style, color, size tracking, and whatever. But I'm gonna do this in a second. So first of all, let's go to merge one, right click, go to edit controls, and then under name, we wanna call this background. And new control ID is fine, type, user, all good. Now we wanna select the label control once again. We wanna select show arrow and then hide next. And this is where we have to think ahead on how many of the parameters we want to hide in this specific dropdown. So for the background, as I said, it's probably around 5 because it's just the color. So let's type in 5 and this is good, and then hit OK. And right now, as you can see, we have our background controls in there, and click on merge one again. Go to edit controls, and now we do this for the main text once again. This is everything on this side is fine. All we gotta do is select the label control and then show arrow. And on the main text, we probably wanna have around, let's go with 30 parameters and hit OK. And now we wanna go to edit controls and now do this for our secondary text, and we want to go with label control and hide next 30 as well. Right now we have those two, and we really have to be careful on what we named them. So if you don't remember, just take notes. And it's also very important that right now we have it set to background, main text, and then secondary text. Hold the control key and we have to select them in the exact same order. Hold Control and then select background, then select the text 1 and then select the text 2, and then select the merges. Once we've done that, we can right click on any of those nodes and go to macro and then create macro. And this is probably what I'm gonna call this cinematic title 1. All right. So, and right now we have our background node here. And we don't need the image. We don't need, well, we just need the color, and we need color red, green, blue, and alpha. And that's probably it for the background. So we can close the background. And then the next thing that we selected is the text 1. So let's go to text, and under text, I want my styled font, the font, the style, the color, green, blue, alpha, size, tracking, and spacing. But I don't need any of those. Close the text 1, and then we can go to text number 2, select this one, and select the parameters that we want to have in our macro. I'm not gonna go through each and every one of those because you can still, with the macro tool open, you can still select the node that you're currently working on. And then as you can see, when we select, select text node 2, you can see this here. And you can see we have selected the text 2 node, and you can see the image is probably this window right here. We don't need that because we don't need any parameters that are in this specific window or page. So then on the text page, we want to have our style text, which is basically this window up here. We definitely want to have that. We definitely want to have the font. We definitely want to have the font family. We want to have the color, which is here, right below there, green, blue, alpha. We want to have the size and the tracking, right? We don't need any of those other parameters again, but if you want to have any of those, just scroll through, and under H anchor, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3. And yeah, this is right here. Horizontal justification left. This is this icon right here. Central is here, and right is here. Horizontal left, center right. This is this slider here. So keep in mind when you want to use any of those, just feel free to navigate in between the different nodes that you have whilst your macro tool is open, so that you can see what kind of parameters that you want to have. But that's it for now. All we want to do is right now select the close, save changes to macro tool 1, and we want to select yes. And now it will ask us where to store this. And I would highly recommend to store this on your desktop and then hit save. Because if I'm going to tab out, this is the next step. I know that creating macros and templates isn't for everyone, and this is where MotionVFX comes in handy. And if you haven't heard about MotionVFX, they're basically a company providing video editing assets for DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro, and I have been using their service for well over a year now, and I have several plugins from them installed right now, and I'm super happy with using them. And they recently brought out the Music Video DV, which is a great plugin if you're editing music videos, if you like music video effects, if you like music video, I don't know what that's called, subtitles or whatever. This plugin overall is just crazy. It is very cool, but there's more. MotionVFX is currently running a contest where you can win prizes well worth over $32,000. And the prices range from a Sony a6500 to a MacBook Pro to a DJI Air 2S combo and to several thousand plugins from their website. So make sure to check out the link in the description where you can read the rules and enter your submission. Good luck. As you can see, we have this cinematic title 1 setting. And right now what I want you to do is right click, open with text edit. And I don't know if you know this. Basically, okay, what I'm gonna do, first of all, I'm gonna copy all of this stuff in here to showcase this. I'm gonna hit Control C, then I'm gonna X out of this, go back to DaVinci Resolve, and then in here, in the free space, I'm gonna hit Control V, and boom, there's my cinematic title setting. All right, this is pretty cool. Is it? I don't know. But again, we have to assign the custom drop-down menus because we have the custom drop-down menus, but we haven't told DaVinci Resolve that it should use those label controls and store those parameters below the different label controls. So what I'm gonna do, first of all, we don't need that. This was just to showcase you. You can also do something like this, highlight all the nodes, hit Control C, then tab out of DaVinci Resolve and then open up the text edit, new document, and then hit Control V, and it will look pretty much the same. If you didn't know that, this is probably a good feature if you're experienced with text edits. So open with text edit. If you have any other text coding software, you can feel free to use that. For me personally, it just feels very good to use the regular text editor. Right now we have different inputs. Don't know what that is, but this is pretty important. Oh, and by the way, if you don't want to have the macro as one single node and you mess that up, but you want to have every individual nodes, just go to the top where it says macro operator and change the macro. Just delete that and call this group, because right now, watch what happens if I'm gonna copy all of this once again. Control copy. So you might have seen if I hit Control V now, we had one single node, but if I'm hitting Control V right now, we have a group. And if we double click on that, it looks exactly the same as this right here. So even though you might have messed up something with your macro tool and you haven't stored the original node tree, you can just go back and change this in here from a macro to a group operator. And well, this will load up the nodes in a group. But right now we have input 1, and this is an instance input. Source operator is background 1, source is top left red, name color 1, yada yada yada. All right, so you can see that this is background 1, and right here it starts with text 1. So first of all, I'm gonna go to this right here, and I'm gonna copy all of this with the bracket, and then hit Control C, go down here, hit enter, and then hit Control V. And this is basically because I don't want to mess up anything. So in this input here, I want to call this, well, this is why I said note that down, what you have labeled, because I'm going to call that background. So background, and is an instance input. Source operator is merge one, because we have stored the background drop-down menu. If you can remember, we have stored that in merge one, and the source is background, this right here. So I'm pretty sure this looks intimidating to a lot of you. It did for me once I started using this, but again, stick with me. It will, once we get to text 1 and text 2, you will notice that it's just always the same step that I'm gonna do. Because we have set the background label control. So this basically is the drop-down menu, and we have told DaVinci Resolve via the source operator that the drop-down menu is stored in merge 1, and the source is background, which basically is again the drop-down menu. And then we have, if you can remember, we have said that we want to have hide the next 5. And basically this was a little bit much because as you can count here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is background 1. So hide next and type in 4 would have been enough. But now what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go to input number 5 and tell DaVinci Resolve, first of all, I'm gonna copy this, go down here, Control V to paste it once again. And right now we have 2 input 5s, but I'm gonna change this input 5 to my main text. So this is gonna be main text. Then instance input is fine. Source operator is not text1. Again, remember this is stored in merge1. And the source is not style text, it is main text. So once we've done this, we have the main text, and then once we scroll down, I believe I have set the height the next 20. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you didn't know what nodes are counting to text1, basically until you see here in source operator standing text2, and this probably starts input 15. So well, as I said, 10 would be enough. And let's go to input number 15 once again. Hit Control Copy, Enter Control V, and change the input 15 to, if you cannot remember, you can always scroll down until you see where it is here. And we have main text, and then we have secondary text, and then 30. Okay, so we have assigned label. We can put a 4 in here, and we can put a 10 in here, and probably another 10 in here, and then copy the secondary text, Control Copy, go up to input number 15. Make sure it is the first one, because if you use the second one, this styled font or style text will appear in text1. So let's go in here, Control V, secondary text is instance input, source operator, again, is not text2, it is merge1, and the source is not style text, it is, Control V, it is secondary text. And right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Yeah, this should be fine. Again, make sure if you scroll down and you see this, that you have everything set up correctly. So that you've spelled it, the names correctly, main text, background, and secondary text. Make sure the label numerical inputs are correct. And once we've done this, we can close this, and it will ask you if you want to save this, and then just click save, open with text edit. Let's just quickly select everything. Control C, go back to DaVinci Resolve, Control V, see if this, perfect. Now you can see that it worked. So we have the background in here. We can, why we can't collapse that? Pretty sure that this is a bug. So we have controls, and then we have background, but I'm not sure why we can't collapse that. But anyways, this is how you would use the macro tool with the text editor to keep your macros very nice and organized. And if you want to save them then into a custom file path, all you want to do is create a new folder and call this folder edit, because we're recreating the folder structure for DaVinci Resolve now. And then in the edit folder, create another folder, call this titles. And then in the titles folder, you can either create a folder for your name, like I'm doing right now, or you can delete that and just give this the name of the titles. Let's go with cinematic titles version 1. Boom. And then you want to Control Copy, Control V. All right, so we've copied this in. And right now what I'm gonna do is zip this folder so that you have this. Then I'm gonna rename it and then call this Cine Titles. And then behind the dot, it says zip, and you wanna change that to DRFX. Hit enter, and then it will ask you if you want to change the suffix from .zip to DRFX, and all you want to do is select choose DRFX, and this will create a .drfx file for you. Then click and drag and drop this onto DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve will open up and it will ask you to install CineTiles. This will add the selected template bundle to the effects library, and of course we want to select install. Then under titles, cinematic titles, CineTile 1, drag this over just like so. And there we have it. Pretty easy. And under title, you can then see we have the background, we have the main text with the secondary text. And I'm not quite sure why this doesn't unfold. But yeah, you get the point. This is how you want to do that. So that's a wrap. I hope that this was helpful to you and that you've learned something new. If so, please consider leaving a like and a comment. That would mean a ton to me. But anyways, hope you're having a great day. See you on the next one. Bye.